You know, when we listened to the first track on this album, this was definitely a very divisive song that we listened to with the first track, I guess album or whatever, but Island of Souls. But I enjoyed it. I'm curious to see where else this album leads, so I just figured let's move on into the next track, which, like I said, there were some of you that really didn't like it. There were some of you that really love it, and for my own personal curiosity, I'd like to just dive into it a little bit more. So let's listen to the next track here, which is entitled All This Time. Let's go ahead and pull it up. We'll talk about it a little bit after. I do not have it up. Hold on. There it is. Okay, here we go. Like that extra snare he puts in.
Two priests on a ferry, October geese on a cold winter's night. All this time, the river flowed endlessly to the sea. Two priests came round. I asked tonight. One young, one old, offer prayers for the dying to serve the final rite. One to learn, one to teach which way the cold wind blows. And fussing and flapping in priestly black like a murder of crows. All this time, the river flowed endlessly to the sea. If I had my way, take a boat from the river and I'd bury the old man. I'd bury him at sea. Blessed are the poor, for they shall inherit the earth. To be poor than be a fat man in the eye of a needle. As these words were spoken, I swear,
I love this snare.
I hear the old man laughing. What good is a used up world, and how could it be worth having? All this time,
Tight build.
the river flowed endlessly like a silent cheer. All this time, the river flowed. Father, if Jesus exists, then how come he never lives here? Teachers told us
I think that this song is a very snappy, not necessarily poppy, but I could hear this traveling on the radio airwaves a little bit at the time of release. It kind of has all the makings of like a good Sting, I don't want to say Police, but a good Sting song. It's snappy. It's I don't want to say catchy, but it does have catchy melodies in it. I love the way that Manu's playing the drums here. I love how snappy it is. Wow, how many times am I going to use that word? I love the little double impact on the snare. Just a little something to change it up. Those quick drum fills as well. The little taste of organ that you have in there. But even though this whole thing, to me, comes across musically relatively safe. I think that's the best way to put it. This is musically pretty safe. Kind of like the previous track, a lot of the depth, and in this track, most of the depth, I would say, is going to be in the lyrics. Because musically, I think it's nice, but it doesn't really offer anything different, nothing that we haven't heard. It's just completely nice. Nothing wrong with that. There's a place for everything. But let's dive into the lyrics, because that's where I feel that we're going to get some depth here. I looked out across the river today, saw a city in the fog, in an old church town where the seagulls play. Saw the sad shire horses walking home in the sodium light, 2 priests on the ferry, October geese on a cold winter's night. So already and immediately setting the scene, setting the plot. All this time the river flowed endlessly to the sea. 2 priests came around our house tonight, one young, one old, to offer prayers for the dying, to serve the final rite. One to learn, one to teach, which way the cold wind blows, and fussing and flapping in priestly black like a murder of crows. So, we're getting these 2 priests who come by the house to deliver, of course, some news. And I love the personal insight that Sting is writing. Like, he's not just writing from his personal point of view, but giving a little insight into the priest. One is there to learn. The young one's there to learn from the old one about how this is done, learn these ways. And a lot of you guys had said that this is a concept album, which I don't remember if I mentioned it before, I saw it before, but I did look here on the Wikipedia, focused on the death of Sting's father. Sting had developed writer's block shortly after, which lasted several years, until he was able to overcome his affliction by dealing with the death of his father through music. It says the single Why Should I Cry For You was written for this album, and Sting has said that the rest of the album flowed quite nicely, or quite easily, after the first hurdle was overcome. Most of the songs have motifs relating to sailing or the seas, as we definitely got in the previous track. So obviously with the lyrics here, we're getting something very similar. All this time the river flowed endlessly to the sea. If I had my way, I'd take a boat from the river, and I'd bury the old man. I'd bury him at sea. So the way I view that is time flowing like a river into the sea. Life is like a river. Eventually you read an eventuality of, I'm going to say, death, which is the vast openness of the sea. You reach that particular point. And I like how he says, he understands this concept in the first 2 lines of the chorus, but he wants to take some sort of personal action and see, like, something he could do. Blessed are the poor, for they shall inherit the earth. Better to be poor than a fat man in the eye of the needle. As these words are spoken, I swear I hear the old man laughing. What good is a used up world, and how could it be worth having? So this is like, from the point of view of those priests, like talking to him, right? Trying to comfort him, share some verses and stuff with him. And then he almost thinks he hears the older priests like laughing, and, what good is a used up world, and how could it worth be having? Like, he's starting to doubt a little bit as well. So I like how we're also getting these inflections of faith and doubts brought up in here. All this time the river flowed endlessly like a silent tear. All this time the river flowed, Father, if Jesus exists, then how come he never lives here? Teachers told the Romans built this place. They built a wall and a temple and an edge of the empire garrison town. They lived and they died. They prayed to their gods, but the stone gods did not make a sound. And their empire crumbles till all that was left were the stones the workmen found. And of course it repeats basically in the outro here. All this time the river flowed in the falling light of a northern sun. If I had my way, take a boat from the river. Men go crazy in congregations. They only get better one by one, one by one. So taking something like making it more on an individual level. I'm trying to figure it out. Taking like, you don't need to, rely on others, rely on your gods or this or that. Rely on yourself. You can do, like, it's up to you. Personal salvation and whatever that may mean to you. Anyways, like I said, musically, it's fine. It's nice. Lyrically, that's where I think the emotion and the message and what separates, a good song from a great song kind of comes in. Let me know what you guys thought of it in the comments down below. Follow me over on Twitter. Support the channel on Patreon. Thank you as always for being here. Appreciate you stopping by, coming in. I'll see you all later. Bye.